everyone around you seems fine. They laugh easily, they move on quickly, they don't seem to think twice about things that keep you up at night. But your mind never stops.
You've been called too sensitive, too serious, too much. But what if that's not a flaw? What if it's a sign? In this video, I'm going to show you 6 signs that you're not broken. You're a deep thinker. And science actually backs this up.
Before we begin, I want you to do something. Think about the last time you felt truly understood by someone. Not just heard, not just tolerated, but genuinely, deeply understood. For most deep thinkers, that moment is rare. Sometimes it hasn't happened in years.
Sign number 1. You don't just think about problems, you think about thinking itself. Most people encounter a problem and look for the fastest solution. You encounter a problem and immediately ask, why does this problem exist? What caused the cause? What am I missing? What does this say about something larger? Psychologists call this metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. Research shows that only a small percentage of people naturally engage in deep metacognitive processing. You don't just live your life, you observe yourself living it, almost like watching from the outside. Your brain is simply operating on a different layer than most people around you. The problem isn't your mind. The problem is that almost nobody around you is equipped to meet you there. Sign number 2. You feel other people's emotions as if they were your own. You walk into a room and immediately sense the tension, even when everyone is smiling. Someone tells you they're fine, and you know they're not. A stranger on the street looks sad, and you carry that sadness with you for the rest of the day. This isn't weakness. This is empathic depth, a documented psychological trait closely linked to deep thinking. Research by psychologist Elaine Aron on highly sensitive people found that deep thinkers process emotional information more thoroughly than others. You don't just see people, you feel them. And this is both your greatest gift and your heaviest burden. In a world growing increasingly numb, that is not a flaw. That is a gift. Sign number 3. You are obsessed with meaning and terrified of a meaningless life. Shallow goals don't move you. Money for the sake of money, success without purpose, relationships built on convenience. These things don't just bore you, they quietly horrify you. Because more than almost anything, you need your life to mean something.
You need your work to matter, your relationships to be real, your days to feel like they're building towards something true. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust and went on to found an entire school of psychology, wrote that the deepest human need is not pleasure or power, but meaning. Deep thinkers feel this need more acutely than most.
You've probably walked away from things that looked good on the outside, jobs, relationships, opportunities, because they felt hollow on the inside. People around you didn't understand, but it was such a good opportunity. But you knew. You felt the emptiness behind the surface. That instinct, that refusal to settle for a life that doesn't feel real, is not self-sabotage. It is integrity.
We're halfway through, and I want to pause for a second. If signs 1, 2, and 3 already sound familiar, if you're nodding along and feeling something shift inside you, then sign number 4 is going to stop you completely. Because sign 4 is the one that deep thinkers are most ashamed of, the one they've hidden their entire lives, and it's actually the most powerful sign of all. Sign number 4. You struggle to belong, and you've spent your whole life wondering why. Not because you're antisocial, not because you're broken, but because deep thinkers experience a specific and well-documented phenomenon called chronic existential loneliness. It's not the loneliness of being alone, it's the loneliness of being surrounded by people and still feeling invisible. You can be at a party, laughing, talking, performing all the right social moves, and inside feel completely, profoundly alone. Psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski studied this in gifted and deep-thinking individuals and found that this sense of existential separateness is not pathology. It is a natural consequence of processing reality at a deeper level. You are not broken. You are simply tuned to a frequency that most people around you cannot hear. This loneliness may never fully go away, but when you understand why it exists, when you stop seeing it as evidence of your brokenness and start seeing it as evidence of your depth, it becomes bearable. Sometimes it even becomes beautiful. Sign number 5. Your mind creates worlds, even when you're doing nothing.
You're in the shower and suddenly solving a problem you haven't consciously thought about in weeks. You're on a walk and a complete idea, fully formed, arrives like a gift from nowhere. You stare out a window and people think you're daydreaming, but inside, you're building entire architectures of thought. This is called default mode network activation, and neuroscience has shown that deep thinkers have significantly more active default mode networks than average. Your brain doesn't rest when you're not focused on a task. It creates, it connects, it synthesizes, it finds patterns across things that seem completely unrelated. Society calls it spacing out. Neuroscience calls it one of the most sophisticated cognitive processes the human brain performs. Sign number 6. You hold yourself to a standard that is almost impossible to meet. Not because you're a perfectionist in the shallow sense, but because you see the gap between what is and what could be, in yourself, in your work, in the world, more clearly than almost anyone else. You finish something and immediately see 10 ways it could have been better. You have a conversation and replay it afterward. You set a goal, achieve it, and feel nothing, because the moment you arrive, you can already see further. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset and Abraham Maslow's work on self-actualization both point to the same thing. The deepest thinkers are driven not by external validation, but by an internal vision of what they could become. This relentless internal standard is exhausting. It can make you feel like you're never enough, but it is also the engine of every meaningful thing you will ever create or become. The goal is not to silence that voice. The goal is to learn to work with it, to let it drive you without letting it destroy you. 6 signs: metacognition, empathic depth, the hunger for meaning, existential loneliness, a mind that never truly stops, and a standard that pulls you always forward. If you recognized yourself in these signs, if this video felt less like information and more like a mirror, then I want you to hear this clearly. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are not difficult. You are not a problem to be fixed. You are a deep thinker in a world that was not built for people like you. And that is hard. I won't pretend it isn't. But it is also quietly, powerfully, undeniably a gift. The world needs people who feel deeply, who think carefully, who refuse to accept the surface of things. It needs you. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Leave a comment below. Which sign felt most true for you? And if you want to understand yourself even more deeply, watch this video next. It goes even further. I'll see you there.